I'm Amy. A few years ago, I left the company I worked for and started working from home. There's a reason why I chose to be a remote worker. That reason is to take care of my father-in-law. A few years after I got married, my father-in-law became ill and needed care. I thought the timing was right, so I started working from home and lived with my in-laws and cared for my father-in-law while working. However, my mother-in-law doesn't think well of me working from home. She has never understood computers or my job and seems to think that income earned from a computer is tainted. Even though Sam also uses a computer for his job, I asked, Sam does a job that requires physical strength. Men are supposed to do that kind of work. It's different from someone like you who just plays with machines. My husband's job is indeed in construction, but he also uses a computer for it. Nowadays, there aren't many who draft by hand. I have told her this many times, but she doesn't trust what I say. Sam, can you please talk to her? I really do work from home, I pleaded. Even if I talk to her, it won't change anything, Sam replied. She doesn't trust what I say because I'm her daughter-in-law. It's normal for older people not to understand computers. Besides, it doesn't matter what others think as long as you are working. I don't really know what you do either, Sam admitted. What? I exclaimed. I understood that it might be hard for others to understand my job, but I didn't expect that from my husband. On top of that, since housework and my in-laws are my responsibility, I also cook, I continued. But they even complain about my cooking. I wanted Japanese food. I checked what you wanted for dinner. You said that whatever Sam wants is fine, I reminded her. He told me he wanted a hamburger steak. As long as it's tasty, it doesn't matter if it's roaster or Japanese, Sam interjected. To me, Western food tastes too strong, I confessed. But you don't have to eat it. It's hard for me to cook 2 different meals while working. What are you talking about? You don't really work that much, my mother-in-law retorted. I am working properly, I insisted. While my mother-in-law and I were arguing, my husband, who was next to us, seemed unable to stand the tense atmosphere and quickly left the room. Hey, can you at least clear the dishes? I've been working outside and I'm tired, Sam requested. You should do it, my mother-in-law replied. But I really need you to at least clear your own dishes, I pressed. Fine, my mother-in-law conceded. In the end, my mother-in-law cleared the dishes, disregarding what I had said. My husband, who always leaned on his mother since he's our only son, seemed to find me nagging. Although I tried my best to improve the situation, every time my mother-in-law interfered, I found myself silenced. My bedridden father-in-law was always there to listen to my complaints. Because you're so much trouble, Amy, my father-in-law comforted me. No, you are not at fault. Please don't worry about it, I reassured him. Your mother-in-law has always been overly fond of our only son, Sam, since he was a child, my father-in-law confided. I tried to raise him strictly, but in the end, she pampered him too much. I thought it'd change after he started working, but he has reverted to his old ways after moving back home. With a sigh, he continued, I was fed up with the daily routine of caregiving at work, but talking to my father-in-law always made me feel better. Then one day, my beloved father-in-law passed away. Rather than feeling relieved from my duties, I was overwhelmed with grief and couldn't stop crying at the funeral. Why are you crying so much? My mother-in-law asked. Because I was the one who was always by his side, I sobbed. The way you put it, it's like I dumped all the care on you, my mother-in-law retorted. I wanted to tell her the truth, but as she angrily walked away to complain to relatives, the atmosphere turned against me. You shouldn't blame her too much. She's grieving too, my husband consoled me. I'm not blaming her at all, I replied. Didn't you say that you were the only one who took care of him and she had no right to grieve? My husband reminded me. I never said that, I defended myself. Look, her troubles are coming, but you should be more compassionate, my husband advised. Thank you. I'm old and can't do much, my father-in-law added. My mother-in-law, feigning tears, acted as if she was apologizing to me. Nodding at her behavior, I tried to leave, but my husband stood in my way. Aren't you being a bit harsh? Why do I have to be blamed? All I did was cry because I was sad about your father's passing, my husband argued. But Mom's not crying about Dad. She's crying because of how you treated her, I countered. That's why I've been explaining that I didn't say anything wrong, my husband explained. Even so, apologize. We are going to be living together from now on, he insisted. Upon hearing those words, I was greatly surprised. A healthy mother-in-law doesn't need someone else's assistance. Originally, the reason for us living together was because my father-in-law needed care. Now that he has passed away, there's no reason for us to continue living with my mother-in-law. I don't plan on continuing to live here like this, I asserted. Mom must feel lonely since Dad passed away. It's only right if we continue living together, my husband argued. What are you talking about? I never saw my mother-in-law as someone who would be so easily disheartened. If anything, she had the energy and spread to act and paint me as the bad guy during the ceremony. She should be fine living on her own, I countered. For now, I'm going to continue living with Mom. I have no plans of leaving, my husband stated firmly. Absolutely not, I countered firmly, but my husband wouldn't listen at all. Due to the hustle and bustle of the day, our conversation ended without resolution. However, I saw it with my own eyes, my mother-in-law smirking behind us as if she had won a great victory. A few days passed, and it was time to disclose my father-in-law's will. We will now disclose it, the lawyer announced. So they had prepared a will. They really thought things through, I thought to myself. Yes, the will states that the London house goes to Sam, half of the cash goes to Amy, and the remainder of the inheritance goes to the mother, the lawyer revealed. My mother-in-law seemed unhappy that I was included in the inheritance. She looked annoyed, but perhaps thinking it inappropriate to complain, she kept her peace. Well, Amy did take care of things after all, my husband remarked. Right. It's a gift from that since I got the London house. It's natural for us to live here, my mother-in-law added. Exactly. Even if it's an old house, it's still a home. I have the right to live here, so we can live together, my husband concluded. Is there anything else written in the will? I asked, aware of what was coming next. An important clause that concerned me, the lawyer confirmed. Yes, there is a stipulation that in exchange for giving half of the cash to Amy, she should not be burdened by the mother. However, whether to heed Amy's wishes is left to discretion. The lawyer explained. If it's written in that's real, we have to obey. You must leave, my mother-in-law declared, clapping her hands in glee. Even the lawyer seemed a bit taken aback by her behavior. What do you think, Sam? I asked, hoping for support. If it's written in the will, we have to obey, Sam replied. I see, I said, feeling defeated. It means a freeloader like you should leave. I knew you were just playing around without working, my mother-in-law accused. Yeah, we don't need a leech like you. I got the house, Mom got the inheritance. Maybe I should find a younger wife and remarry. That's a great idea. Find a new wife, not a useless one like her. I'm sure you can marry a much better woman. My in-laws seemed quite satisfied with their victory, yet there was a reality they hadn't recognized. More than being unaware, they probably just didn't know. Before that truth came out, I tried to be as subdued as possible. All right, as you've said, I'll get a divorce. Please sign here. I took out the divorce papers I had prepared in advance and handed them to my husband. Perfect timing since we have the lawyer here anyway. We don't need to split assets, right? I mean, I have to leave the house. Of course, you might feel sad, but remember, I've had to deal with a good-for-nothing this entire time. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That's okay with you too, right, Mom? Fine. I'm sorry for everything. I wish you happiness, Amy. My husband, not questioning why I had divorce papers ready, eagerly signed them. Holding back fake tears, I took the papers and said, Actually, I feel bad keeping this a secret. I had prepared to move out immediately. I shouldn't be a burden anymore. I then pulled out my packed luggage and bolted. Thank you for everything. I'll submit the divorce papers on my way home. Please take care of yourselves. Leaving behind a delighted mother-in-law and husband, I left their home. On the way, I submitted the divorce papers at the town hall. Thank you, father-in-law. I did it. I exclaimed with joy as I arrived at my own house. This was actually a new place I had rented myself. I had foreseen this scenario and prepared this place. The reason for my readiness goes back to when I was caring for him. Amy, after I'm gone, you should leave the house, he said. I was shocked, never expecting him to say that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that because I don't like you. Child, but I can't imagine that the son and daughter-in-law will continue to take care of you in the future. They will probably continue to belittle and bully my wife. I can't even listen to him complain like this when I'm gone. Oh, you know that, don't you? I don't have parents, so I have nowhere to go. I know. That's why I want you to rent a place before I pass away. Use this money for all the rent. He showed me a bank book with my name as the account holder. I can't accept this. Even diligent. I might not have much left to give later, so let me give you this. Thank you. But I wonder if he will let me go. I'll handle the divorce. I know those too well. I'll write a will to mislead them. Mislead them? Yes. It's a gamble. But will you cooperate? Understood. I'll help you. There was such a story behind the will. My husband didn't realize the truth, and together with his mother, he pushed me out. I had promised my father-in-law that if my husband didn't stand by me, I'd specify that you shouldn't be burdened, meaning Amy, who's single-handedly supporting the household, shouldn't have added burdens. You knew. Their spending habits are bad. Justice's salary isn't enough. Telling me this, he left. In truth, I was earning about $2,000 through my work from home, and I was the one covering living expenses. My mother-in-law, reminiscent of the days when her husband was earning well, continuously spent on luxuries. I was the one ensuring their lavish lifestyle. If he divorced me, such a life wouldn't be sustainable. I also mentioned that they should listen to you. Why is that? If it's written this way, they'll interpret it to their advantage. They probably think they can kick Amy out. Amy, you're still young. There's a bright future ahead of you, so please find happiness. Dead. Thank you. After that, the will was disclosed. With a slight hope, I wished that my husband would say we should leave together, but it wasn't like that at all. That's when I decided, I can leave. Let's part ways. I am truly grateful to my father-in-law. If things continued as they were, I would have been trapped in that house forever. After some time, I received a message from my husband. Amy, it's been a while. Where are you now? Why aren't we strangers now? If I left anything behind, please throw it away. I haven't taken everything I need. No, actually, I was thinking, maybe we could get back together. Did the electricity get cut off by any chance? How did you know that? I suspected it might happen, but I never thought it would actually come true. Life's been tough since you left. I can't even go out for drinks or play pachinko. Of course it is. Do you know how much I was earning? I didn't realize. You didn't want to understand. How much do you think you make monthly? About $2,000. Not only am I free from caregiving, but I also don't have to look after 2 grown-up children anymore. Thanks to that, I can earn even more. Thanks that much? My mother-in-law saw it as a game, but I was working as a designer from home and had an income of $400,000 even after saving my job. So it is no surprise that my income has increased now that I'm able to work even more. To put it another way, if you want to maintain the same lifestyle, you will need an extra $2,000 a month. Suddenly, I remembered something. By the way, didn't your mother receive some cash? We spent all of it. I was left speechless when I heard that. The inheritance received, even though I got half of it in cash, was probably in the high 7 figures, and they spent it all in just over 2 months. But I don't care anymore. You will get a new young wife, right? I hope you're happy. I can even find a girlfriend with this lifestyle. That's your own fart. I'm going to change my phone number soon, so I won't be able to contact you anymore. Maybe you should consider selling the house. Goodbye. Saying that, I ended the call. Later, when I happened to pass by my in-laws' house, the land where their house stood had been turned into a coin-operated parking lot. Upon inquiring with a local, I learned that right after the call, the house was put up for sale. It didn't sell, so it was demolished and eventually became the current parking lot. They probably had to sell the house due to financial difficulties. Feeling relieved that I won't have to see them again, but also a bit sad about the loss of the house, filled with memories with my father-in-law, I left the place. I believe, as my father-in-law said, that my